What's up, everybody? Another episode of The Straight Cut coming to you from West End Cigars inside the Members Lounge. I am Aaron.
This is Mark.
This is Mo.
Are you sure? It feels like something you're not 100% sure of now.
And just so you know, I'm keeping that dead air.
And she put her hand on her face.
Hey, Mark, what did we talk about literally 12 seconds ago?
What order we were going in and what we were going to call each other.
In order, right? And who brought up that question?
Marielle.
Yes.
And then we discussed it where we said very clearly what order we were going in. And who seemed surprised about the order?
Because we still have one person to introduce.
We do. Somebody I'm excited to finally have on the podcast.
So I'm backing away now. So the floor is y'all's.
So we have a fourth guest that
we do.
Long overdue. So my partner in life, do you want to say something?
Hello, my name's Paula.
Your name is Paula, or Little Bear, my little bear.
Yes.
Aw.
Yeah. And we've talked a bunch about you on air. I'm sure she hasn't heard any of it, by the way.
Yeah, I don't listen.
You've heard the first 3 episodes.
That's true, because you made me in the
I
car.
I did, because we talked a lot about you in those first 3 episodes, and I thought
You're talking like first thing is like 30, number 32, like
Yeah.
early.
I thought she should hear my telling of the Vegas story so that she could defend herself if ever someone heard it and wanted to ask questions about it.
Yes. Yes. So we have the wives on.
We do. This is pretty exciting.
Mo has become a regular contributor to the show, which I adore and I love. Thank you very much. I really like when you hit your marks, though. That's primo.
You assume I was actually paying attention to you.
I was. I think we both were because you asked the question.
You're right.
That was why we assumed that.
For some reason, it just didn't register that you were starting the show. So I wasn't
It's the
paying attention.
countdown.
I mean, I've only done the same intro 151 times at this point.
Yes.
Moving on.
Moving on.
All right. So before we get into the bulk of what this show is, we are smoking the LFD Colorado Oscuro Numero 3.
Yep.
It is a Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, Dominican binder filler. It's a 5x50 Robusto.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it.
So Paula's not smoking tonight. You don't smoke anymore.
No.
You have smoked in the past.
Early 20s.
Early 20s. We've smoked various things, and we'll just leave it at that. But you've also smoked cigars. We used to smoke in the back of the lounge that we owned in Springfield.
Yes.
With Joe and Rob, and we'd hang out on Friday nights because they closed early.
Yes.
And we'd hang back there with Joe and Rob, and we'd drink beer and watch TV or whatever, and just hang with good friends till 2 a.m. and do fun things.
Let me ask you this, Mark, because I feel like the cigar lounge, a lot of guys treat it as like their sanctuary to get away from their wife and stuff. I am one of the other side. I love having Mo up here and smoking a cigar with me. Like, I don't want to have to, like, a lot of people like do that to get away.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I like enjoying this ritual with her. Yeah.
So when I want to get away from people, Paula is included in that list.
Yes,
when I want
absolutely.
To be and she's the same way, but I don't. That's just everybody when I want to get away.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people to hang with otherwise.
Yeah.
So I don't exclude her from the hanging time.
Yeah.
I don't need to sit with the guys. She has been a large part of my guy crew for a long time.
Yeah.
She doesn't enjoy cigar smoking, so she doesn't come up here very often, but
I have come up before.
Yeah, we did the whole Star Wars thing, and then they loved all those, and
so. She actually likes cigar smoking more than she likes Star Wars, I think.
I actually like playing the poker when you guys play.
I remember whenever I was not even a worker yet and just a regular, when you were fairly new, I remember y'all would come up on Thursdays.
Yeah, it would be Dee and Ray and you, and poor little me and Steve would be trapped at a table.
I do not miss poker days. I'll tell you that right now.
I know. I've actually might have heard that from you.
Oh, I have people ask me all the time, when's it come back? As long as I'm on Thursdays, no.
Oh.
That was one of the trades. Like, you want to go back to 10? I don't want to deal with poker.
Yep. So Thursday's been football starting back up, and so Thursdays will be pretty popular for other reasons now.
Yep.
It was a pretty good weekend football-wise. I know the Chiefs lost, so that's good.
It wasn't pretty. I will tell you that. So somebody came in to a newer couple, haven't seen them before, and they're like, "How are you doing?" This was towards the very end of the game, like fourth quarter, 5 minutes left or whatever. She's like, "How you doing?" I was like, "How you doing? If there's anything, let me know." And she asked, like, "How are you doing?" I was like, "I'm stressful, but I'm good."
Yeah. So. We watched the end.
So the Browns did rally?
The Browns did not.
I'm giving Aaron a hard time.
Oh.
This is playful banter right here.
Mm-hmm.
But on a more important note, college football matters now in Arkansas.
Man, let me tell you, like, I know I've always said, like, I don't give two shits what Arkansas does because I'm not an Arkansas fan. I'm a Kansas fan, which Kansas lost to Coastal Carolina this week, which is almost given at this point because
they're ranked, by the way. Coastal Carolina is ranked.
And I didn't realize that they were ranked. They're a good team.
Yeah.
But SEC football specifically in Arkansas today or this week, that was cool because we were driving back from Memphis yesterday, listening to the game, and then got home and I watched the rest of it and just seeing that was the biggest crowd Arkansas has ever had. At the stadium. And then we had a few people up here went to that game. So they were talking about it and they said it was just so deafening and loud they couldn't hear anything. And where they were sitting was one of the entry points to the field. And it was just like a sea of people was just like jumping over them
to get on the field.
Yeah.
I love the quote, Arkansas beat Texas. And in case if you wonder if that game matters to Arkansas, I assume it matters to Texas, although Texas acts like nothing matters but Oklahoma. And I understand Oklahoma is a big rivalry. But in case you wonder if it matters to Arkansas people, they stormed the field after dominating Texas yesterday.
And I don't know who
whipped their ass.
I don't know who was calling the game, but what they said
was Greg McElroy.
So what he said was Arkansas hates Texas more than they like themselves.
Yes.
And I've never heard that before. And I was like, as somebody who's like on the outside looking in, I 100% agree with that statement. I mean, all my friends were just all day long were like horns down. And I even threw up like a post on Discord, which nobody really fucking knew about because I don't know if we really have any Longhorn fans on that.
No, I don't
know. I was like, you know what? It got me in the spirit because it was good. It was a good game.
Red was up here last night and we were watching. Red's a Texas fan. And so
which I found that out today.
Yeah. Ryan and Tim were back here, and they're not really Arkansas or Texas fans, and Ryan's not even a sports fan. So I was explaining to him the horns down, which is disrespectful and gets you 15 yards in college football, and he said more than like flipping somebody off, and I said, yeah, actually, you can flip somebody off in college football. That's not really a problem. But if you horns down against Texas, that's a 15-yard penalty.
It's like doing the U down to Miami.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's just like...
Except for Miami, University of Miami, I guess has been irrelevant as long as the University of Texas has. But they stormed the field, and the announcer, not Greg McElroy, the other guy, goes, in case you wonder if college football rivalries matter. There you go. And it was... But people up here were just alike.
In a few years, they'll be able to experience that every year. That was a nice little entry point, like, welcome, Texas, to the SEC.
Texas had a freshman quarterback who was, if he'd been able to throw the ball on the spot, it would have been a lot closer game. But
that defense, though,
defense lit it up. They were fired up.
I'd like to see. I mean, we're getting in on tangent here for college football, but Sam Pittman, the coach for Arkansas, he wants to be here to coach Arkansas. So that means even more because we've had a few coaches. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Again, outside looking in, it was cool if you have a guy who can create a defense like what he's doing, and then they pull that shit. Yeah. You know what? I mean, they're in the top 25 now, so they're sitting at 24 and AP at 20. So
funny, I know.
We'll see.
Well, live sporting events. I was energized to watch the crowd be so excited. And that cycles into our topic tonight.
Yes.
Which is live music events. That's why Paula's on, because while she didn't feel comfortable talking about albums because to quote yourself, you don't remember what's on what album. Okay. You and I have seen a ton of concerts together, though.
Absolutely. We love going to concerts.
We do. And you and I have seen, I don't know, 100 concerts, a couple hundred concerts together.
Probably.
And and so we're going to talk about our favorites, our least favorites, what makes a good concert tonight. We're going to talk about people who suck. We're going to talk why they suck. We're going to talk about whatever comes our way, and we'll, without question, run down a million rabbit holes.
So do you want to give the categories now, or do you want to go?
No, that's a great
place
idea.
by place.
No, we're going to go. What makes a great concert? We'll start with that, and we'll go around the room on that, and then we're going to talk about our favorite concerts. And I'm going to limit it roughly at 2. I have 7 because I can't count. 2 artists that are still touring or could be touring, but that you'd really like to see. Artists that are no longer touring, either through a lack of breathing or are no longer touring, that you wish you had seen. Someone you saw in your genre, so I can't pick, well, I really don't want to see Megadeth or something, even though that's not my genre. Somebody you've seen who is disappointing or you did not like in concert. And then somebody in your genre just generally who you don't like that you probably should. Like everybody goes, really? You don't like...
Yeah.
You don't like Willie Nelson? Right? You're a country guy. That's not who I'm going to say because I love Willie Nelson. But
I am kind of I'm wondering what yours would be. 'Cause I think this might come as a shocker for me. I think.
Okay. Well, I have an easy answer, and then
I feel like
I have a couple harder answers that I'm not as sure of.
Well, I feel like I can throw one genre in there, but I won't do that. I won't tease it too far because I feel like before you answer, I want to guess just to see if I'm anywhere close.
Okay.
But all right, who wants to start us off then?
So, Paula, do you want to start off? What makes a great concert for you?
So I think having a good seat and
so bathrooms closed, right? Because the thing you objected to when I told our Vegas story about the thing she objected to,
I remember you telling this,
was that you when I called you out as you were kind of highfalutin, you were kind of bougie about your seats. You were high maintenance about the seats.
I think that's what the word you used was, high maintenance.
Because
I want nice seats and I want the availability of nice bathrooms. Okay. And that's when we went to
Route 91
for 3 days. Okay. And they have access to nicer bathrooms, and we were paying for an area with a nicer bathroom.
Yeah.
That was a choice. That was a selection. They have group pairing. That was a choice pairing.
Yes.
Okay.
And the bathrooms were approximately 25, and they were the really high-end porta potties.
The ones with the sink and everything in it.
And the
Air conditioned bathroom.
Oh, so it was like the trailer style?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
versus regular porta potties.
Yeah,
But
like construction stuff that I do.
those seats
Yes.
those seats for 3 days were. Do you know how much those seats were? Did we ever discuss that?
No, and I don't care because they were nice.
Those seats were like $2,400 a piece.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's nothing to turn your nose up to, though. I mean, you need a good bathroom.
But we bought those on the secondary market.
We bought them on the secondary market. They were great seats, and
Yeah.
the whole concert was awesome because you had the wristband where you could go get beer. It wasn't free, but you didn't have to pull money out of your wallet. You just
just scan
scanned
it.
Yeah. So yes, great seats. And you define great seats not necessarily as front row.
No, I'm not saying that. It has to be able where
Comfortable.
you could comfortable, where you could see the artist, and decent bathrooms. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I see this. My take on the seats was so I've seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra a few times. I always saw them up high in the secondary level, and it's I want to get closer one year. So one year we went and we got pretty low and close. That show sucks that close because it's such a laser show. You gotta the higher the seat, it's just more show to see, and it's so much better.
I think it depends on the band that
Yeah.
you're seeing for sure.
Right.
So I like Eric Church as close on the floor as close as you can get.
You want to get like sweated on?
I want to
Lion?
get sweat on. Now she doesn't because she is not as tall as I am.
I feel you on that. And I think a lot of the taller guys tend to want to go up front.
Right.
And I just want to be as far from the front as possible so I can actually see something.
Right.
So when we saw our church here, we got seats on the side that were like 2 rows up, and you probably like those better.
Yeah.
Get me on the floor. Get me as close to the. I want to be sweating.
because you and I are the same.
But
Like not
you
many
get
people
on
are
the
gonna,
floor, you always want to be on the row on the end.
That's so I have more leg room.
So you have more leg room. But which puts me behind someone
I know,
that I can't see over.
but you could sit on my shoulders.
Right. Like you're going to let me sit on your shoulders.
True.
That's not happening.
Yeah. So what else makes a great concert for you?
The artist being into, the concert,
like stage presence.
stage presence.
Yeah.
So who have you seen that is good and bad at that?
Okay. Well, that gets into.
Okay.
You're jumping.
You're
Jumping.
jumping.
Okay.
You're going
what
off
else?
script.
What else makes a great? No.
Come on, moderator.
Yeah.
What else makes a good concert?
So like also another thing is if a concert, if an artist does something such as a few years ago, Eric Church had a song called Devil Devil, and he had in the concert where he had a blown up devil that came out in the middle of it, and he did that. It was like a trick.
It was a big blow up skull like with thing, and it would come out from the like back of the floor, and it would come out over the stage.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Or like Carrie Underwood had the
floated
stage
across.
had
Yeah.
the
Crystal.
glass stage that would rise up and go back.
That was cool.
And then go back down. So we had floor seats, so we could see right up her skirt.
That was actually cool. I remember that.
What's crazy is like the stage hands that can tear that shit down
In about 10 minutes.
and move it to the next destination.
Yeah.
Unreal. Like
Yeah.
roadies and stuff like that are so underappreciated.
Yes.
Like, have you seen the video of the roadie for, what's his name? The big blues guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan, where he breaks a string, like in the middle of, I think that he was playing like South by Southwest or something like that, breaks a string, doesn't miss a beat, unstraps his guitar, the roadie straps his guitar back to him, and then right then he starts playing the solo again, and that got a huge reaction from the crowd.
Oh, sure.
And it's just like, holy shit, like, I mean, that's
Jackson
grade
Brown.
A. Yeah. That's what, yeah.
Jackson Brown has the song about roadies. That's just remarkable. Stevie Ray Vaughan is, I mean, obviously he was hard on guitars because his
So
solo-
many strings.
so many strings. But yeah, that's amazing. The story about Carrie Underwood, we actually had floor tickets because it was her birthday, and Joe and Rob were actually in the upper deck. It was in Springfield, and she went over us. And so Joe and I are texting back and forth because I am seriously looking up her skirt, what she was wearing, like boy shorts underneath.
Yeah.
You couldn't see anything.
Because she knew he was a perv, like, yeah.
Oh, but dude, the main artist is above your head. Where am I supposed to look?
She's giving it to you.
Right. That's where you're supposed to look. Right? I mean, like, it's not like I'm like trying to cop a look.
Yeah.
It's like Carrie Underwood's right above you.
Oh, yeah, but then the all difference is like, click.
Oh, I did not take a picture.
I did.
Not take a picture. She did. I did not take a picture. I didn't want to be that guy.
She's on a glass stage above me. You don't think we're taking all pictures?
But Joe and I are debating whether her leg, he's going, she's got to have the best looking legs. And I'm going, dude, I've had a really close up look. I'm saying they're nice. But I don't know, you know.
Getting creepy now.
It is. But on the other hand, she has an amazing voice.
So yeah.
But that was another trick that was pretty good.
Yep.
So anything else?
That was the 3 on my list.
So Aaron, what makes a good concert from Aaron's perspective?
So from Aaron's perspective, the bulk of the music I like is, I don't want to say underground, but it's not so much radio friendly like traditional FM radio. Like you'll hear more on like XM and stuff. So to me, I like the small, intimate venues like Vino's, Juanita's, stuff like that. I've seen 2 concerts in a stadium and I did not enjoy it because I always feel weird. It's like, do I stand or do I sit? It's just, I don't know like the rules, I guess, for big stadiums.
Who did you see in a big stadium?
Oh Lord. It was some like, I don't even know who it was. This was like 20 years ago. And it was this church winter fest with like a bunch of different artists and stuff.
Because most, like, you go see a big act who's like,
okay, if I was going to go see like Foo Fighters at Altel,
you stand.
Yeah, you stand.
so like even in the like this,
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're standing.
You see, you go see Eric Church. You go see, you see now. I mean, yeah, you stand. The answer is for most of the acts you're going to see, like you go see Metallica, you stand.
No, so I like the shows where it's a smaller setting, smaller intimate stuff, and then when the band is done, like they'll go hang out at the merch booth, and then you can talk to them,
Sure.
Interact. You know, I've gotten so many like shirts and CDs signed from bands just because they got done with their set. So my thing is, whenever I go see a show, I will buy something from every band there, just because they're not a lot of the undercard people. They're just making it just on tips and merch alone. So I mean, a $20 shirt, you know, I have a million fucking band shirts, and I just like adding to the collection stuff. So my main thing is I like the small venues that are just, you know, it's more streamlined to the type of music that I listen to.
So Paula is also a huge shirt collector.
Yes.
She is wearing Good Girls Go to Never Miss Church,
Yeah.
which is an Eric Church concert shirt.
Sorry.
She's got in pink, which I'm sure is your favorite color.
Hey, you know what? I rock the pink. My thing is I like pink, but I have a very like pink hue to me as it is. And then all the red hair, I get washed out so easy. Like it just doesn't work. So that's why I just...
Yeah, you get washed out.
I just look like a naked mole rat.
I have so many black concert
Yeah,
T-shirts
just
that I
straight-
try to get as many colored ones as I can. So.
Just black T-shirts all day for me, pretty much. Other than today, I'm wearing my Chiefs jersey. So
You are. Did you give yourself a 10% discount?
I gave myself a better one.
Okay, fair enough. What else what else makes a good concert for you?
So a lot of people now are doing like kind of taking from the big shows where they're doing like a VIP setup where if it's like $15 at the door, which that's kind of like the price wise with the stuff I listen to, like they have ones where it's $65 and you can see like an acoustic set beforehand, meet the band, you'll get a poster and stuff like that. A lot more of the bands I like are doing that. Bayside does that at damn near every show. Dance Gavin Dance. I mean, a lot of the shit that I like. They're doing more of the
personalized experience.
Making it a little more better for the followers and stuff like that, because they know that even if they've been around for 15 years, 20 years, like Bayside, they're on their 21th anniversary tour right now.
21st.
Yeah. It's
Did he say 21?
21.
I did. I just helping him out. It is the 21th.
Listen. Well, because what I'm saying is because last year they're supposed to be on their 20th.
Right.
Their
And the
20
next
years
one is the 21st.
I know, but it's the 20 years of bad luck tour, but they changed it to the 21st, and then my brain was like, nope, I'm just going to stop thinking. And then, so yes, they've been around for 21 years, but I've never ever heard one of their songs on the radio. So they have a big following, but they're never going to be super mainstream.
Sure.
But they
kind of cult.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. They say Bayside is a cult. I have a shirt that says Bayside is a cult, and she was like, "You really bought a shirt that says you're a member of a cult?" I'm like, yeah, it's Bayside. So
Bayside's a cult.
yeah, so they kind of make it for the diehards because they take that. I know like Eric Church does that shit, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of other people that. But
Fan clubs is
but it doesn't
money.
cost like fucking $300. It's $50 more or whatever.
So Eric Church's fan club is like $35, but then they sell like a box where you might keep drug paraphernalia in there with like rolling papers and a thing.
You get a stash box.
A stash box for $450 is what they sell it on, but it's like hand carved wood. It's like beautiful.
That would be cool.
And there's only like 200 of them made, and like they have like he sells like a lot of limited edition stuff just to the church choir.
Have you ever bought a stash box? Have you ever thought about buying a stash, even just for the collection? You're not going to use it.
100%. I thought about buying that stash box.
That would be pretty cool.
And I've owned a stash box. Sure.
Because I know, like Dance Gavin Dance, they sell personalized grinders.
Yeah, sure.
So,
so does Eric Church.
oh, do,
So, I mean, I'm not sure I know you don't know any Eric Church songs, but he has a song called Smoke a Little Smoke.
yeah. Hey, country guys, they
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, Willie Nelson, once again,
Hey,
one of the greatest Willie Nelson songs ever done was Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I'm Gone.
the only person who Snoop Dogg has said, I cannot out smoke.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, and I mean, Merle Haggard and those guys, they didn't lack for party.
Yeah. All right, so that's mine.
So Mo, what makes a good concert for you?
So I have three main things. One is the venue seating. So if there's a general admission area, I do appreciate having a seat if I choose
So
to
you
have a
like
seat.
being able to sit
If I want,
occasionally.
occasionally, if I want to.
Is that short girl problems?
Yes, absolutely.
That's 5 foot problems.
Absolutely.
I like being able to sit. I actually agree with that because there's got to be, because if you're going to, for 4 hours, you're going to stand and you're going to yell at the top of your lungs and you might be drinking beer and you might be whatever. A little 10-minute break from time to time to be sitting down is a great idea. That's a good one.
Section, first row, at the rail, perfect.
Oh, that's so our comedy show seats. That's
Yes.
where we go for comedy
Yes.
shows. Okay.
Yep. Another thing is sound quality. So you go into a show thinking that that's just a given. You're going to get good sound. But again, I guess that ties into the venue. Sometimes it just sucks.
Bad acoustics
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
bad acoustics. And the third thing is crowd. If there are people talking in the background, having side conversations, which I've been to different types of concerts, large venues, amphitheaters, smaller shows, and bar shows. And in every single one of those scenarios, you'll always have people having side conversations in the background. So crowd to me actually can really dampen my experience if I hear too much distraction going on, because then why are you here? You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
So that's it.
Those are good ones, and I think you guys have hit a lot of them that I have. I'm going to go out of my order. Great crowd is one for me, and I think a crowd can be both negative and positive. So I've been in crowds where it has been so electric in the crowd, both in small arenas and big arenas. And I know Aaron hasn't had positive big arena experience. I have, where just everybody's in. It's just like this energy, and it's all focused, and everybody's a go. And it's this communal sort of thing, right? And it's just everybody's fired up. And I've been in small places. Steve and I saw the Cleverleys at Four Quarters, which is a nice setup. And there were so many people having side conversation, it annoyed the band. Now, we were upstairs, and it didn't impact us at all, and they were awesome live. They were they're really good. They're tight live. Like, they sound good, and they're fun, and they're funny, and they're all the things you'd hope that a bluegrass band that covers hip-hop stuff would be, right? They're tight, they're funny, and they're great live. But they annoyed the band. There was so much talking, and we've been in situations like that where, you just go. We had a couple. We were seeing a band. I don't even remember who the concert was in St. Louis. A couple broke up next to us, and you're just going, okay, well then why don't you two leave, right?
Yeah.
Like they broke up in the middle of the concert?
Broke up in the middle of the concert.
It was annoying.
So we had the same seats for like 5, 6, 7 years. Like we'd, and Joe and Rob joined us the last couple of years, but you'd get the same 2 seats. So the same people would sit next to you for 10 concerts that summer. And one summer they broke up, and then the next concert they were making up, and then the next concert then he had a different girlfriend, and it was like, yeah, it was drama. And you're just going, dude, sell your seats, right? You're not fun to sit next to. And so, so it can definitely drive that. But I've been at concerts where people just go, they're so into it like you are that it elevates the concert.
Yeah.
And so it can go both directions, and I've experienced both of those. So the crowd is definitely can be a negative and a positive. So that, and I think the seats is, I think the things you mentioned, I'm going to throw in a couple other things. I think an artist that's high energy. I've been to artists that sit and just stand on stage, and they're great. But that isn't my gig, right? I enjoy that, but I like somebody who can interact with the crowd and drives the crowd. So you go see somebody who's really high energy, and I like that. Somebody who has that, as Aaron said, stage presence. Somebody who's got that it on stage. And then so then the other thing which I'm going to call out that nobody else has mentioned, I think one of the keys to a great concert is great musicians. So a lot of times you have people who put out good songs and they're fun and they're okay musicians. That's fine. It can make for a fun show, and, you go and have a couple beers and have a good time. But I think great concerts are made with great musicians. So you can really see they have the ability to improvise on stage, and that musicianship really shows through. So you go see somebody like Zach Brown, and their band is so good that they can play Whip and Post by the Almonds, they can play Adelaide, they can play whatever they want, and it sounds fresh and tight and awesome. And the fiddler player from Zach Brown, I would pay money to hear him fiddle, and everybody else can go away because he's that good. Yeah. Just musicianship. And finally, I'm a country music fan. So
no,
I know. So one of the things that I think makes a great country concert is songs that you're familiar with that the crowd sings along to. Now, not every song, but these big anthems at country concerts where there's this big sort of back and forth singing event with the crowd is one of the things that I think Paula and I really enjoy. So when Eric sings My Hometown or Springsteen and the crowd knows every word and there's the back and forth and it's this big communal sing-along, I realize that's not a metal thing, right?
No, I hate that.
Right. A lot of people do. But within the country concert environment, that is a very enjoyable experience for me. So I throw that in as that's something that I enjoy. Now, every song, no.
Yeah.
But the big anthems for sure. So, and I can go see concerts where I don't know every song or I don't know any of the songs if a lot of those other things are true. So that's a great what makes a great concert. I think it'd be interested to hear if we miss something.
I mean, for me too, I was thinking price, because again, a lot of the shows I see, you just pay at the door, $20 at the door.
Yeah.
You're seeing 4 bands and stuff.
It's pretty awesome.
A lot of concerts now, if you have to go through Ticketmaster, you got some fucking crazy ass fees, and then it's $150 for a ticket. I mean, that's just, and what's the average ticket price now? Probably for something that big, $200 or more.
So the George Strait is coming to North Little Rock.
Yeah.
And his top ticket price is $219, but when you're done adding the fees, it'll probably be
$300,
$260. I think it'll probably be $260, $270. Now there are cheaper tickets.
Yeah.
And they'll be certainly there. They never advertise. Ticketmaster has this concept called platinum tickets where you can get like the super primo tickets, and those tickets are like 500 or 1,000.
Oh,
like
Jesus.
we were looking and we were buying tickets for Vegas for Eric Church, and the tickets next to us are we got really good seats, but the tickets next to us were like triple our price, and we paid $150, but we got really good seats.
Yeah. The bulk of my stuff, it's $20 at the door. If you're over 21, you get a wristband. If you're under, you get a giant black X on your hand.
Yeah.
And that's what they did at the door.
So we'll go, what is the favorite concert you've ever seen? And we can go, let's go to the same order, babe. I'm going to start with you. Are you okay with that?
The one? Just one?
Two, 3.
Okay.
So what's your favorite concerts that you've ever seen?
Okay, so we bought concert packs down in Maryland, St. Louis area, and there was a few that I liked down in that area.
Maryland Heights.
Yeah. There was a Luke Bryant, Jason Aldean. When Luke was first coming out, and he came on first, and Jason Aldean was the main thing.
Right.
And that night, when Luke came on, it was people were like surprised because he only had a couple of songs on, but he brought down the house. He rocked it. I mean, he just was fabulous.
And he was undercard?
He was the undercard.
Opening? One of the openings?
Yes.
Those two toured together for 3 or 4 years together.
But
they were both coming up at the same time, and they toured together for a long time.
But usually the undercard, you would like,
not somebody of your status.
Yeah, you usually didn't stand for the second act. You usually went and got your beer refilled and the bathroom run and stuff like that. No, you stood for Luke Bryant. You watched Luke Bryant. He was charisma that night. We rocked it that night.
Luke's a good show. I mean, Luke's high energy. Luke wears skinny jeans.
And he could dance.
Oh, God.
Okay, that doesn't actually matter to me.
Coming from the one who had the crystal floor for whatever her name is.
Right. Well, he wears, yeah. I mean, he can dance. No, he's a dynamic entertainer. His legs are really skinny. His legs are skinnier than Carrie Underwood's. I mean, he's got a small butt, too. I mean, really, I'm just saying.
He could shake it all night long.
Yeah. I mean, really, Carrie Underwood's more, built than he is.
But yeah, and Jason Aldean was up next, and he also rocked it that night.
Yeah.
That was a fabulous concert.
It was a good concert. Aldean's a little more rocky than Luke Bryan is.
Right.
But yeah. Yep.
Right. And then I had for another concert was Eric Church.
Which one was that?
Well,
we've seen Eric Church like 10 times.
Yeah.
See, and to me, that number seems small. As much as I've heard you say you've seen him, like, it feels like it should be more than that.
Yeah, probably should, but it's only 10.
But it's hard to get to Eric Church's concerts for us, so.
He only tours every other year. A lot of those guys tour every year.
And is Arkansas a stop for these people?
Eric's next March.
Okay.
They don't crush it around here. The problem is in Arkansas, like when we were back home, they would go to Bloomington, they'd go to Chicago, they'd go to St. Louis, so you could catch them a couple times in a year. But in Arkansas, it's Dallas.
Yeah. It's Nashville, Memphis, something like that.
Right. They don't go to Memphis that often, actually.
So I like when we went to, I realized that I like the one in Bloomington, but I also liked the one when we went up to St. Louis before.
The very first time we saw him in St. Louis.
Yeah, when we had the floor seats. Yeah.
Oh, the first one in St. Louis after the, okay.
Before.
before the shooting.
Yeah.
So one with Joe and Rob.
Yep.
Okay. That was in 15. 2015. Okay. That was the first time we saw her. So it's technically seen him 10 times in 6 years. So that's a lot.
Yeah, I guess that is. That's a good amount.
I mean, he's only been out for 8-10 years.
He's got a lot of, his discography is pretty good size,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
He cranks out some albums.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
Anybody else?
I was trying to think of all the concerts that we. Kenny Chesney.
You do like the Kenny Chesney.
I am a Kenny Chesney fan.
Yep. Kenny Chesney is one of those guys you see live. So the first time I saw Kenny Chesney, Tommy B is listening right now. First time, I wasn't really a huge Kenny Chesney fan until I saw him live. And then you get him when you see him live because you think, it's all an act and whatever. And then you see him live and you think, nah, he's just a Rastafarian motherfucker.
Are you like the Puka Shell era Kenny Chesney, or has that like been his whole time?
His whole time.
Okay.
And then you see him live and you just go, he's just a Rastafarian motherfucker. And then you just sort of adjust to that.
Yeah.
And then you say, you know what? I dig that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. And I just like, and I think his last 3 albums have been totally awesome. Build Better Boat is one of the great songs about just trying to get by in life. Like I'm just trying.
That's not about a boat.
It's actually, no, it's about trying. My whole life is around just trying. I'm just trying to build a better boat. I'm just efforting. Just back the fuck up. Right. I'm trying really hard and quit judging me so hard. Right. And it's a great song.
I love My Blue Chair.
My Blue Chair is a great song. Yeah.
Is that the My Tractor Sexy guy?
Yes.
So here's a small world.
You think My Tractor Sexy? No, that's not that small.
My old cabinet shop, our old cut guy, his name was Abel. His ex-wife is a songwriter. She wrote that song.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And she got paid.
Yeah, I was just about to say, for the record, that was a huge song.
It was a huge song.
That's not one of my favorite Kenny Chesney songs, but that was a huge song.
So he heard it before anybody else heard it because somebody else played it, and then they sold it to Kenny. So he was like, "Yeah, I heard that song before anybody else."
That's awesome. That's classic bro country.
Yeah,
but he does a good job on it. He's written. He's recorded some pretty awesome songs.
And I think what I was surprised at was I didn't realize country artists had ghostwriters.
So
I think that's what shocked me.
There's a huge writing complex within the Nashville scene, and there's a lot of guys who Jason Aldean's one of them, who don't write most of their stuff.
Really? So
Now Eric Church is one of the guys. So like the church choir people will tell you that he's the best because he writes most of his stuff with people, right? But he writes most of his stuff. Mm-hmm. Having said that, everybody's different. Just enjoy the music. Mm-hmm. You're overthinking it. But within Nashville, there's a huge music writing community. Like Chris Stapleton, for example, who because we've talked about Tennessee.
He seems like one that writes his own music.
Chris Stapleton was a songwriter who then released his own album. He wrote like stuff for like Darius Rucker and a ton of people. And Luke Bryan. He wrote I'm going to sit right here and drink a beer, right? Which is a song about losing a friend and how he's heartbroken. So he's just going to sit right here and he's going to drink a beer and think about his friend.
There were some other artists that kind of came up that way that I know in the country music, but I forget his name. The song is like Running Away with the Warden's Daughter or something like that. And he has a weird country name. It's a guy. Curly hair. This is good radio talk right here, let me tell you.
It is, and I'm not sure of who would be a curly-haired guy. You're not talking Blake Shelton?
Blake Shelton?
Blake Shelton writes some of his stuff. You're talking about Old Red, the song about...
No.
He's typing into his phone, curly hair country guy.
No, not Blake Shelton.
It's not Blake Shelton, because I thought Blake Shelton wrote some of this stuff.
Who was it? It's I think his name begins with a D. Yes, I'm cutting all this shit out.
Right. I'll think about that, and I'll try to remember that. We can revive that conversation. Okay. So, Aaron, what are your favorite concerts that you've ever seen?
This was fucking hard. Like, this was probably the hardest of the questions to think about.
Okay.
So I have two definites, and I have a third alternate. So the first one would be, I really love Between the Buried and Me. It's a progressive metal band from North Carolina. They've been around for
Between the Bear and Me?
Between the Buried and Me.
Between the Buried and Me. It makes more sense than Between the Bear and Me.
Super progressive metal. Their stage presence, none. They live
just rip it up.
Their live shows sound exactly like their studio albums.
And you like that?
For them, I do, because it's such a technical sound.
Okay.
Now, like, I mean, you might
musicians extremely high.
Now, Tommy, the lead singer, he does keyboards and a little bit of electronic. He has a little bit more because he can move around a little bit more, but Paul Wagner, the guitarist, I mean, he just stands there and he's got magic fingers. You got Beef, the drummer, super underrated drummer.
Beef?
Yeah, his name is Beef.
Just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
That's his only name. His last name's not Stroganoff or something?
He's just always known as Beef. But
Beef Wellington?
Their stage presence is not the best, but what they produce sound-wise is like arguably just the best. So did they play any variety than the album? Did it sound exactly like the album? I mean, it's light. It's not like Grateful Dead where every song's different every night.
Right.
I mean,
were there solos in spots where there weren't on the album?
No, there's solo. I mean, it's just the album. It's like you push play, but there's
it's
just
live.
A couple hundred people.
You
there.
could touch them.
Yeah. So I've seen them a few times, and what they also do too is, whenever they have a new album come out, I think they've got like 7 albums now. And when they do a new tour, they play that album beginning to end without stopping.
Cool.
Just like a record. And then they'll do a little break, and then they'll play some mix and match from other stuff. But in 2008 or 2009, I forget, of August, they did a show in Nashville that me and my brother went to because it was a live recording for a DVD CD combo. So we went to that show. So we're actually in the crowd. You can hear me screaming or you can hear me cheering and stuff like that. But I'm actually on the cover. My arm is on the cover of the album. So that one was really cool. And then you can see me in the crowd in a few spots when they did like crowd shots because we're fairly close. So that one was awesome because they did the Colors album, which was a release in 07 or 08. Did that whole thing, took like a 30-minute break, and then they just did another full concert of like 20 songs of their other stuff. Yes. So that one was definitely by one. And who is that, by the way?
Dierks Bentley.
Dierks Bentley.
Yes.
I knew a curly head guy with a D as a name.
I eventually put it together. That's interesting because one of the things that I don't particularly like out of some bands is when they just play like the album.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I particularly appreciate about Zac Brown is even their songs, and the Grateful Dead, although I've never seen them, it's a box of chocolate. Sometimes you get this and sometimes you get that. But it's always wonderful.
I don't think it works for every band.
No, it doesn't. No, clearly it doesn't.
For jam bands, it works.
Yeah.
It better work for a jam band or you're not going to be on tour very long.
Yeah.
But for them, it definitely
interesting.
It plays.
I
So
could appreciate both.
with that. Yeah.
I really like that one just because I I was involved with a lasting piece of artwork.
Yeah, no, that's pretty badass. I mean, that's not pretty badass. That's badass.
Yeah. And then another one was, I love 311. Love them. I've been a fan of theirs since the Blue album. They're self-titled back in like 95. I get all their albums, love them. I know all their songs. Like a concert that I haven't seen, I've seen them before, but they do 311 Day every March 11th every year down in New Orleans, where they play literally every song that they've ever produced in like, now it's a 3-day concert just because they have like,
so many songs.
Yes, so many songs.
So it's actually March 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Yeah, okay. But it's 311 Day. But I saw them in Little Rock with Modest Yahoo. That was unbelievable. That was my first time. This was when he first started getting big, and then seeing him, and then 311 right after that. And I was literally very front up against the guardrail looking at Nick Hexum sing the whole time. It was just, I mean, I was singing every song. Again, that was like, they didn't do the whole like sing back kind of thing because it was so loud in there. You could have everybody singing, but you couldn't hear, like
because it was so loud.
You couldn't hear like the people singing. You just heard the band, but everybody was singing. So that one
was like a country concert.
Kind of, but they didn't do like the sing back to me kind of thing. But that one was.
So everybody just sang along.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was really cool.
That one sounds cool. I've not heard of the rapper. I'll have to check that out.
Oh yeah, he's really good.
And then the honorable mention.
Honorable mention was, I kind of have two. So I saw Dave Matthews Band once. That was really awesome. I love Dave Matthews, but I saw him with, my mind just went blank. Allman Brothers, Warren Hayes. Saw him with Warren Hayes. Mm-hmm. Such a good show. And Warren Hayes come out for a couple songs. And they did All Along the Watchtower.
Ooh.
Oh, man. Which
Warren Hayes,
a song stolen from somebody that was already stolen, that was stolen from Dylan, but then having Dave Matthews and Warren Hayes do All Along the Watchtower.
It's actually covered, I think, is not stolen. It's covered. I think within the music industry, unless it's derivative, you're just playing it.
Yeah.
Stolen's the wrong word.
But that one, I loved. Yeah. And then, I mean, I've seen.
I'm surprised that you like Almonds and Warren Hayes, since you hate Leonard Skinner so much.
But Warren Hayes is just
awesome.
an awesome guitarist.
Yeah. Oh no, he's one of my. Oh, he's just.
And I honestly, I think I was probably more introduced to him during that show because I wasn't an Allman Brothers fan beforehand, and I still am not. But just knowing what I saw was pretty badass.
Those guys can play. They're not messing around. Those guys can dead ass play. Mm-hmm. That's a good show.
Yep.
I've not seen Dave Matthews. I've had tickets twice, and I gave it up both times to the same guy's girlfriend. He eventually got married to her. Hope he appreciates that.
It was such because they kind of go the way of what Grateful Dead did. They produced a lot of their songs do sound different than studio albums. Yeah. So every show is going to be a little bit different. But I mean, how they have so many songs again, and because they do so many live shows, they have their own channel on Sirius because every concert is going to be different and stuff like that. And we'll be driving, like we were driving yesterday. She was like, "What is this shit?" And it was them warming up like jam band style, and
it was like 12-minute intro.
Right.
She's like, "What the fuck is this?" Yeah. It's like Dave Matthews Band.
Well, I know she didn't write it down, but we saw Carlos Santana in Vegas, and she walked out irritated because seriously, over about 2.5 hours, they played 6 songs. Right, with the first 2 songs was something she recognized, and then they played "Come On," that song, and then "Black Magic Woman," and she's going. We're an hour 45 minutes and he's played 4 songs. Yeah. There's a half-hour drum solo by his wife and then a 15-minute drum solo by his drummer, and you're just going, we're gonna get 6 songs. Having said that, man, that guy can play.
That'd be a good one. So that's my honorable mentions, and so
that's good.
Okay.
You've seen a bunch of concerts. Tell me something.
This was hard for me, of course.
Yep.
And then also just trying to remember all the bands that I've seen, because I've been to a lot of festivals too, like the Warped Tour, Weenie Roast style, bunch of bands playing during the summer.
Well, and the perks of living in LA. And
Yeah.
Yep.
And being able to just have, local bars that would have shows that you can just pop into. But I have two, and I have also an honorable mention. So the first one that popped in my head, the very first one is 9 Inch Nails at the Civic Auditorium in Santa Cruz. It seemed as though it was the size of a gym, like a high school gym. And I was worried about the sound. I was worried about how is this going to work? The echoes,
the
and
acoustics.
Yeah, how is this gonna work? But it was one of the best shows I've ever been to. So that was pretty exciting to see.
Reznor is just Reznor's.
That was also nostalgic for me because I'd grown up listening to 9 Inch Nails like in junior high and high school, and I finally got to see them as an adult. So that was definitely one of the best shows all around. Second, so this was over the course of 2 days. So I bought tickets for both nights. This was Radiohead at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, and for two reasons. Number one, I had my little sister fly up to give her this experience because we were all Radiohead fans, and she'd never seen them, and so I was happy to have her come up so that she can come out on the second night. But the weather was just beautiful. It's Bay Area weather. At night, it was misty, and it was like on the verge of raining, but it never rained. And it was just beautiful. Beautiful 2 nights of just one of my favorite bands to see. So that's Radiohead. My honorable mention is Muse at the Civic Auditorium, but also in San Francisco, because as I was talking about in the other show that I was on, the podcast, where we talked about our favorite albums, they were on my honorable mention list. And for a 3-piece band to sound so huge live, and number one, be incredible musicians, to be a 3-piece, but also, they had a good mix of sounding like the album, because you go there for that type of band, you want them to sound somewhat like the album, but it was just above and beyond. It was a great show. When you talk about wanting to go to a show where the musicians are engaged with you and the audience, like they want to be there.
Yep.
They were definitely one of them. So
that's a good one.
Yep.
Those are good. So variety. I debated my list. I saw a bunch of, so we have a lot of concerts that Paula and I have seen together. I obviously have a musical history before Paula, and so I've seen a ton of people, much like you did. I lived in Chicago in my early life, so I saw GNR. I saw a ton of people in Chicago, Metallica, and those. I debated those, right? To be honest with you, just because of time, a lot of those are very fuzzy for me, right? I remember having great seats for Joe Walsh, and I remember seeing Lenny Kravitz, but I don't remember in Tom Petty and all those. Obviously, more recent concerts are fresher in my mind. So I don't have any rock people on here just because those are 30 years ago. That sounds crazy for you guys probably, but I saw Tom Petty in the late 80s, early 90s, right? I mean, I saw him a long time ago. I was listening to Tom Morello talking about seeing the Clash like in 81, right? And that would be, how long ago is that? That's like 40 years ago, right? I mean, I can't comprehend that stuff. And GNR, to be honest with you, I was wasted. And so
under the influence.
I was, yeah. Yeah, several things, and so those things are hard for me. I would certainly consider Joe Walsh one of the great concerts I've ever seen, but so I'm gonna list mine, and Paula flinched on this with me, and so I'm a little nervous about bringing it up. The best concert I ever saw was Eric Church at Route 91. That was the Friday night show. I tore up my ankle that night, pretty bad, really bad. Almost lost my ankle. After about 4 months of rehab coming back, that had nothing to do with the shooting, but he was on fire that night. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen. He was absolutely engaged. It was 22,000 people just synced up. He finished the show with one of my favorite songs ever, A Man Who's Gonna Die Young, and it was perfect.
It was a fabulous concert. It was a great concert.
It was. And so that one is my top one. My next one is Jason Aldean in Vegas, but not the one at that show, obviously. But it was, when we went back and saw him later, it was 4,000 people. It was super intimate. It was half, three-quarters of survivors from the shooting, and it was emotional. And it was on fire that night. It was amazing, and he cried that night, and it was exactly perfect. And then, ironically enough, my honorable mention is going to be somebody she'll probably disrespect later, which is fine. And it's a concert I saw with Steve in the Rev Room, so small arena, and it's Cadillac 3. The first time Steve and I saw them down at the Rev Room, and they were just on fire that night. It was everything a small venue should be. They were tight. It was loud. The crowd was rocking.
Rev Room sits like 200 people.
200 people, and that crowd was on fire that night. And they were just, first of all, one of my favorite Southern rock bands. They are gifted in two ways. They are gifted musicians. They're that Muse big sound. They're three people, and the sound that comes out of that band is huge. And they're gifted performers, which is a different thing. They controlled that room in a way that night that was really cool to see. They had that crowd doing exactly what they wanted. And it was a great show. So those are my three. The first two, I think, obviously for emotional reasons. That Eric Church show, though, we said it after that night as I limped back to the room pleading. He was on point that night. But the Cadillac 3 it's what you like about small venues. It was intimate. It was tight. It was loud as fuck. It was loud.
Yeah.
And it was Southern, and it was rock. And Steve and I were like, well, there you go. That's as good as it gets, right? Yeah. You just go. And the Rev Room is such a cool place to see concerts. I'm excited about the new place in town. Hopefully it'll be as good, because I love small arenas. I'm like you. I just love everywhere.
Yeah.
But small arenas or small places have such a cool setup for people like that who have the ability to really own that room. Now, the first time I saw Cadillac 3 was actually opening for ZZ Top and Skynyrd, and it was huge. It was a 25,000 outdoor arena, and they did great there. But the best place, and she's going to disagree with me in about 5 minutes, but the best place I ever saw was at the Ref Room.
And I feel like with the small venue, the people who go to there are the people that really want to go see them and really want and love the band. The people who go to like big stadium shows go there to say they went to the show.
I've experienced both, because in smaller venues that I've seen bands where, of course, I go to listen to the music, I would see a lot of people there just going because they got tickets, or they're on a date with someone, or they knew a couple of friends that were going to this thing and it's easy to get to. So, okay, we'll buy tickets. And so
it's $15.
Yeah. So I've had both experiences.
Trust me, when you pay $250 for a ticket, like you did for George, like when we went saw Dean, next door was George Strait, and there were people carrying folding chairs out, and they paid like $500 for those. You pay $500, trust me, you're a George Strait fan. So, but I agree. The 4/4 thing with the Cleverleys, they were.
Well, because I didn't realize, whenever you told me that, I didn't realize that the 4/4 did shows, because to me 4/4 is just
a bar.
It's just a bar restaurant. Yeah. I didn't know they did.
It's not a good. I don't think it's a good setup for music.
So the people who were doing that probably talking like
they didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know that this was a fucking.
Where is this in Hot Springs?
No, it's on the north side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the stage is probably no bigger than what this carpet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super tiny.
Yeah.
Those guys, they're a band that controlled the stage. They had presence. And so there's two things. I mean, there's engaging with the crowd, but there's controlling the stage.
And even in larger venues, I would say that my top three, so Nine Inch Nails, Radiohead, and even Muse, they were in larger venues, but it felt so intimate. Right. It felt so intimate because everyone, for the most part, was there to see the bands. So.
Yeah. Well, when we saw Eric at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, so it's 57,000 people. But when you're in that moment and he controls the room, it feels small.
Yeah.
And then you look up and you look to the right. Well, even at Route 91, when it's going and you're not focused on anything but what's happening on stage, it doesn't feel huge. Yeah. Now, when somebody who's lame's on stage, it feels like 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that's the difference,
true.
right? But that's true of small places as well. So, baby, 2 artists that are still alive that you would like to see.
Well, I have one for sure that's in my bucket list. That's Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He would put on a great show.
And we've had tickets, and then we didn't make the concert.
That's true. That's my fault. So Garth Brooks, we'll go see Garth Brooks next time he comes to West Little Rock.
He plays North Little Rock.
North Little Rock's a little far from me.
Don't want to go across the river.
Yeah. Unless I'm lost going to work.
Yeah. I've been. There's no big deal.
So he's still on my
Garth
bucket.
Brooks is on the list. Yep, for sure.
And then I struggled for another one. And at one point I wanted to see Reba McEntire and Brooks and Dunn when they were in Vegas.
They're still in Vegas. We can still do that.
I thought they closed that.
Nope, they're in there sometime in the spring. Brooks and Dunn, Red Dirt Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they're still I still want to see them if they're still doing the Vegas venue.
They are.
That was the other one that I wanted.
Luke Bryan's out there now too.
Yeah, I saw that. But we've seen Luke Bryan a lot, so
we have seen Luke Bryan. Seriously, Steve and Kaylee, Paula, and I saw him in North Little Rock. Loudest concert I've ever been to.
Yeah, that was loud.
I've seen Metallica. Luke Bryan was the loudest concert I've ever been to, and we were not on the stage. We were like back. It was just like, what the fuck? It's this loud. I actually turned to Steve. I leaned back because the ladies were sitting between us. And I said, am I just old or is this extremely loud?
Actually, when we went to the Carrie Underwood and she kept changing her clothes on stage.
She did.
And I was like going, I think we're too old for this one.
Yep, we probably are. Yeah.
That was the scary one.
Well, it sounds like you're going to go see Brooks and Dunn soon.
Yeah, that would be a fun one.
Yeah.
That's a nice little, because they do the one where Elton John's at, right? They do that same theater.
Yeah.
That's a nice one. We saw Elton John out there.
Yeah.
Elton John's good live.
So those
the Circle of Earth song,
right?
Circle of Life song.
Yeah, that was
the Lion King.
Yeah.
The Lion King song. Yeah.
So those were one, and the other one that I was struggling with was Sugarland. That's the other one that we hadn't seen.
Yeah. I think they're still touring. I know he's touring. I know she's touring. I don't know if they're touring together.
So
he's one of my favorites. He's got a New Orleans band that is actually really good.
So other than that, we've seen all the people that I've really.
You're welcome, by the way.
I know. I told you a long time ago. I really wanted to see concerts, and you really put out for me.
You got super upset because I was talking to somebody about all the concerts I said, and then you got super upset and said you never take me to concerts.
Yes, I said I want to
Might
start.
have cried, and then I said I'll start taking you to concerts.
And he did. He started. I said, "You don't take me anywhere. I want to go see concerts. I want to go."
Right.
Do stuff, and he started taking me to concerts.
Couple hundred concerts later.
Have we ever seen a concert? We've seen comedians together,
Yeah,
but not
that's
concerts.
our thing. We haven't been to a concert together because our concert lists don't necessarily align.
There's a little bit of overlap, but not a lot.
Not bands that are touring now.
George Strait's coming. You guys can go to George Strait. Tim and I were talking about going to see George Strait together. You guys come with us.
No.
Check yes or no.
No.
All right.
Probably not.
All the country people are laughing. I just made it funny. Aaron?
So what is it? Two that are alive that I want to see?
Two are still touring or alive.
Okay.
Could tour.
So the first one is Mastodon. Just a
So you could buy one of the clown paintings?
no.
That they were on your top 5.
They're
right?
on the top 5 list. Yeah. I mean, I've seen them like when they perform on like Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that, and their music videos and shit. But I've seen their video, like live videos. I mean, they just put on a hell of a show. I'd love to see that. And then my second one is it's not so much a certain person or a group, but it's more of a festival. I've always wanted to go to a Vans Warped Tour, and I've never been able to do
Overrated.
that. And
Overrated. You're out there in the hot sun,
Overrated.
and you're buying.
Have you ever done a festival, dude?
no, I've not.
$12 beers or $10 waters. It's
That's fine. But
I recommend the VIP section.
But
I
you
do
get
too,
I don't know if
yes.
Vans has a VIP section. But knowing that like
They
I would
always
I would
have
know
a
but knowing I'd be able to see
section.
like 20 of my favorite bands in one
yeah,
setting.
that's true. I will say that I was fortunate enough to see bands that I wouldn't have seen
yeah.
had I not gone to the festivals. So, yeah.
So I think that was it.
Yeah, Morello talked about he was playing a festival and he flew in and then like Johnny Cash was on the backstage. So we went and saw Johnny Cash because people you wouldn't run into normally.
Yeah.
So you get to see him. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, just knock them off the list. And I know they traveled to a bunch of cities. Like my brother went to the one in St. Louis, and somebody stole his car key while he was seeing somebody. So he went to his car and realized he didn't have his key because somebody took it out of his bag. So then we had to mail a new key to him
gosh.
overnight, and he was freaking out. And so yeah, sorry.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be Mastodon and just the Vans Warped Tour, which I don't even think they're doing the Vans.
You ever do
anymore.
Lollapalooza?
No.
Nope, wouldn't do that. Okay.
No. Obviously, the Vans was more of
Your type?
My type, yeah.
Yeah.
Mo?
For me, it would be. I don't know if these two folks are.
They could tour if they wanted
Yeah,
to.
Foo Fighters.
Foo's still touring, sure.
I've never seen them. Band that I've always wanted to see.
Foo's, I've heard put on an amazing show.
Yeah, and for sure, definitely, if they come around anywhere close to us, I would like to drive to see them. And second one kind of surprised me. I don't think this guy's touring anymore, but Bruno Mars. I would feel like he would put on an amazing show.
I think Bruno Mars would be awesome. I think he falls in under that. There's a list of artists I have who, if you have a chance, you just go see.
Yeah.
I think Bruno Mars is on that list. I think Justin Timberlake's on that list.
Justin Timberlake, yeah.
There's just people who would. I think Bruno Mars would be awesome
Yeah.
to see live.
Plus,
I think
he's part Filipino, so you got to represent.
right.
I feel like he could be the leader of a big band.
Yeah, no, I think he's one of those guys who I think he's just talented as hell.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be a lot of fun. Okay, so I have Garth Brooks on my list because I'm obligated to match. But I think Garth would be great, so we don't have to talk about Garth anymore. And then the other one that I have, which we had a chance to this summer, but it was too hot. I was shot down on going to see them. He was outside downtown, is Jason Isbell. I would like to see Jason Isbell live because
saddest motherfucker
right
ever.
So Paula saw my list because she had to. We were talking through this beforehand, and she said, "Who's Jason Isbell?" And I said, "That's the guy you shot down us seeing early in the summer. Well, actually midsummer.
Just weeping in the heat would be not a fun time."
Right.
Actually, I realized that you should actually have one more on your list.
Who's that?
Ashley McBride.
I've actually seen Ashley.
Oh, that's right. We
McBride.
saw her.
We saw her at Route 91. She was the first artist on the backstage, but I would love to see Ashley McBride again. Ashley McBride, Arkansas girl, exceptionally talented. She just came here, and we didn't go because of the mask mandate. But love Ashley McBride. But we've seen her.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
So, okay. Now, how about the people you don't have a chance to see because, let's say, they might be dead?
What do we call it? No, what do we call it a couple weeks ago? With
Transition.
Transition.
With
With Charlie.
transition.
With Charlie.
Charlie, they've transitioned.
Okay, I know you. I'm not gonna put the one that's on your list. So I'm gonna put the first person is Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember when he died, my neighbor was inconsolable. She cried for days.
Oh.
So I actually remembered when he died. She was a big fan, she was a huge fan. So and she played his records loudly. When she would suntan, she would suntan, and I remembered she would play Elvis really loud, and while she suntan.
It would help you someday. I can see that.
She was the cool mom, and she was the cool hot mom. All the other moms were like moms, but she was the cool hot mom. So she had the Trans Am, and
Who? The Black Trans Am?
blue actually.
Sure.
So
Anybody else on your list?
Elvis. No, Elvis. Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash would be a cool one. That's a good addition. That's nice.
Two heavy hitters.
Two heavy hitters.
Two of the heaviest, probably.
Probably.
Yes.
probably
I think if you poll 100 people, like at least 50% is going to have one of those two people on it, probably.
Yeah. Elvis. I hadn't thought about Elvis, and when you said Elvis earlier today, I thought Elvis would be one of those. Now he wouldn't be on my list, but if I wouldn't turn that down, that would be one you just go, yeah, Elvis is a good choice.
Now, but the thing with Elvis is you have like multiple Elvises. Do you want to see like beginning
Fat
Elvis? Or like fat Elvis, like Vegas Elvis.
I want to see Fat Vegas.
No, you
Elvis.
want to see right before that. You want to see in the middle.
You want to see like where he's like
Elvis.
where he's like dabbing himself with sweat with a piece of ham in Vegas.
No,
I do. That's what I want.
That's you call it Fat Elvis. I call it Sad Elvis.
Sad Elvis. Right. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
So another small world. An old friend of mine, his father-in-law is the one who pronounced Elvis dead because he's the one that found him in the bathroom.
Wow.
Mouthful of shag carpet.
Oh my gosh.
Died taking a shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a rough way to go.
I have an Elvis story. So he was filming a movie in the Philippines when my dad was a little boy, and I guess they were looking for a little Asian kid to follow Elvis around in his movies, and at the time my grandmother didn't trust anybody coming in, so she X'd that, but my dad could have been a movie star.
Oh, man.
Could have been Elvis's best friend.
Elvis. He loves Elvis.
Your dad has good taste.
Yeah, of course. That's where I get
It.
Okay.
I've seen the record collection. He does have some
No,
awesome stuff.
no, we've sat and talked.
Yeah.
Her dad does have amazing taste in music. So how about you, Aaron?
All right, I don't have two. I have three. So
Okay. I was worried you'd have none because you're so modern with your music. Nobody's died.
no. So I have two. One for sure that's in my wheelhouse.
Transitioned.
One that is in my wheelhouse as well, but one that's it's a wild card. So the first one is Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Would love to see them, but with, one of them has now transitioned.
MCA.
Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. So I would have loved to see like Sabotage era, License to Ill era. Would love to see that. Another one is Miles Davis, but with Coltrane and Bill Evans, and
So
just
a lot of transitioning in that.
yeah, I think they're all dead.
Yeah.
But just that, the Kind of Blue album, front to beginning, or beginning to end. Let me get that right.
Front to beginning.
Front to beginning. Beginning to end, just that album, just
That'd
in
be
a
awesome.
smoky bar, a martini in hand, a cigarette in hand, just, heaven. And then my wild card, which is definitely a wild card, but I'm going old school, like going back, seeing like Mozart, just seeing him do a show, 300, 400 years, however long ago, but just seeing that.
That's
what
a
he
little
could
bit
do.
old school.
It's a little bit old school. Because here's the thing, like all this Mozart music that we hear, none of it is him playing.
Authentic.
It's all representations and replayings of just his music. So just actually hearing his stuff would be cool.
It's all stolen.
Yeah. But like we have
No, that'd be cool. That's a good one.
One of her favorite is like Chopin.
Yeah.
So like we'll play Chopin on vinyl in our house and everything, and just hearing that music is. I love classical music. It's calming. It's just hearing that, like going to Fresh Market and them playing that is just. It's so relaxing. Taking a stroll up and down.
For people who don't know what Fresh Market, explain what that is.
It's a highfalutin, overpriced grocery store.
Yeah. It's like a smaller Whole Foods, more boutique Whole Foods.
It's a super boutique. Yeah, it's more expensive than Whole Foods. But just going in there and taking a nice stroll with a basket and like looking at the fancy fucking cheeses that they have and the hard salamis and shit like that. But hearing that music and hearing that, it puts me in a fucking happy place.
You're such a man of the people, Aaron.
Man, let me tell you, I am what I say. I'm an enigma.
You're an enigma wrapped in a bougie.
Yeah, so that's
a good one. That's a good wild card. Okay, Mo.
All right, 2 artists no longer touring because they've transitioned.
Or no longer touring.
Broken up.
You could throw Phil Collins in because he's no longer touring because he can no longer.
These folks have transitioned.
Okay.
First one is David Bowie, and we talk about different types, right? Different Elvises, different Bowies. This would be Stardust.
Ziggy.
Yeah, I'd go Ziggy.
Ziggy Stardust.
I would go with that era, David Bowie. I would sleep on 1980s David Bowie. That's
Sleep on?
No, yeah, I would pass.
Oh, okay.
On 80s
Oh, so
Bowie.
a 0 out of 10 would not bang.
Would not bang.
Under pressure.
But yeah, that's a great song, right? But I think
Paul hasn't listened to the podcast, so she didn't get the context. So James Hetfield, the lead singer, or the guitar player, or the lead singer,
Yes.
I'm sorry, from Metallica, when we were going through our top 5 rock albums, she asked me the question when she brought up him. 10 out of 10 would bang, like to me, like would I bang?
I
him?
said yes
And
or
I
no.
said,
Yes or no.
Yes
yes
or
or
no.
no, and I said no. But apparently,
Which is a yes.
it's no. It's still no. It's a hard no. But apparently, she's a yes on that.
Yeah, that answer has not changed.
Yeah.
That answer has not changed.
Not changed.
I'm still a no on that.
And then the second one, real big toss up for me.
David Bowie's a great answer, by the way.
Yeah, so that
I hadn't thought of that.
for sure, definitely one that I would have loved to see. The second one, toss up. Janis Joplin, Otis Redding.
Wow, those are great choices.
Otis Redding, one of the greatest versions of "I've Been Loving You Too Long," Madison Square Garden. I think it's like 65, 68. That when he sings that song, that's when I go, that's how that song should be sung. Just that, and talking to calling back to the podcast where we're talking about our top 5s and the songs that I gravitate towards, the despair, the longing, just that deep ocean of emotion. The way he sings that song, like that's how music should be. That's how live music should be. Janis Joplin, though, one of my top 5 songs of all time, even though she didn't write it, but she sang the hell out of it, Maybe. That is one of my favorite songs of all time. But I guess if I had to choose between the two, it would be Otis.
Otis, first of all, both fabulous choices. Otis, I think, has an impeccable ability and timing of a song. His ability to just sort of, his songs always feel right.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think about all those songs. I mean, just the timing is right. Janis Joplin, when I run down the Janis Joplin hole, what amazes me is just the depth of her voice, the soul in her voice. I mean, it's the quirky song, but Mercedes-Benz, that song just kills me every time.
She would be fun to watch, I think.
She has an Arkansas connection. She
she?
went to high school with Jimmy Johnson, who went to the University of Arkansas. And I guess they were arch enemies at the same time. They graduated at the same time. And he tells the story that they were not friendly, or they were arch enemies or whatever. To think Jimmy Johnson, who graduated from the University of Arkansas, football player, coach of the Cowboys in Oklahoma and all that. But so an Arkansas tie is sort of tenuous, but
to see Janis, man.
Oh man.
But anyway, Otis writing tidbit of information that the song "Respect" that Aretha Franklin is now, that's her arguably most famous song, right?
100%.
R-E-S-P-C-T. Otis writing first song, it was actually the original artist who sang that song, but what a different impact it was when a woman sang it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. She that's a good example of a song that somebody just took, right?
Yeah.
Because they owned it. So mine, I've got 2 and a wild card. I think probably not surprising, because I've told this story on air about me sort of trying to encourage people to go see Prince in Vegas and not being able to pull that off. My first one is Prince. I just think that he would be amazing live. And I so regret not seeing them. Greatest rock and roll band ever. Led Zeppelin's on my list, even though I don't know that I would end up going out saying that was the greatest show I ever saw. I just feel like as long as everybody was sober, it's something you can't pass up, right?
Right.
So that, and then my wild card of somebody just from the country era, because I've seen so many country artists, and I debated people, like Hank Williams, the original Hank Williams, and I'm just going to throw a curveball. There's what's called the original class of, I think it's 92 or whatever, which is Strait and Travis Tritt and all those guys. But the one that died out of that group, which is Keith Whitley, who has what I consider the best voice of that group, is Keith Whitley now. He sings "Don't Close Your Eyes" and "When You Say Nothing at All," and I think he has what I consider one of the top 2 or 3 pure country voices, and I would have loved to see him live. Now, he had a drinking problem and eventually killed him, but I mean, to me, "Don't Close Your Eyes" and pretend it is him, just this one time, make love to me, which is what the song is about. It's just one of the great sort of heartbreaking songs about being with somebody who's not truly with you. And so as my wild card, Keith Whitley. And if you're a country fan and you don't know who Keith Whitley is,
Shame.
Okay. Now we're going to go negative. And we're going to go, who is the quarterback for your team who you hate? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do somebody you saw in your genre. So I have concerts that I've been taken to that, and not my genre, that I didn't particularly have a great time at because I didn't get it, but whatever. But somebody in your genre, so for me, rock or country, who you were disappointed in or you didn't enjoy the live show. Doesn't mean you didn't enjoy their music, still not a fan, but you didn't enjoy. And I can start that if you want, babe. Or
Go
you
ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to start encountering Aaron's. He likes the album with his first favorite concert. I saw ZZ Top, and they sounded just like the album, and I wasn't a fan. The band before them was Leonard Skinner, who was awesome, but ZZ Top sounded like the album.
A little boring for you.
And I love the album. I'm a huge ZZ Top fan. There was just no color.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was just a little disappointed. I wasn't like mad or anything. I was just like going, there's no color here. Right.
And on the newly transitioned list as well.
Yes, on the newly transitioned list. So ZZ Top. And another one, I like the music of Tim McGraw. I think he actually has some really great songs. He pointed at everyone, and it drove me fucking nuts.
Like to sing for him?
No, he like just pointed at people the whole time.
Because it would rile up the crowd, right?
He would. And so Joe Holler and I were there that night, and I said,
This motherfucker points at me.
this fucker is pointing at everyone one at a time the whole night. And it bothered me.
Did he forget the words? Is that why?
Nope, he did not.
That's what I'm saying. Did he point with his finger or did he point with the mic?
He put on an okay show, but it just bothered me. It was very posy.
Okay.
It was not.
Got it.
I just didn't like the show. Now, having said that, I think she did like the show. And Joe said, you need to have another beer. This is a fine show.
You were just annoyed.
I was annoyed that night. I'm sure it was probably the night the couple broke up next
Was he
to us.
aggressively pointing at people?
He
was
was
just
directly pointing at people. It was aggressive. It was sexual harassment.
I feel like if you're pointing down at somebody, that's
Having
aggressive.
said that, he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
So if he listens, on the off chance that Keanu Reeves is not our most
Yeah.
famous listener, and he is, although I debate who is more famous, but they're close.
Keanu, all the way.
Yeah, they're close. Tim
If
McGraw.
he pointed once or twice,
It was a
then
thing that night.
passable. But
Right, it was we saw Rick Springfield and he destroyed flowers, so maybe it's his thing. I don't know, right? So, but it just bothered me. So those are the two.
ZZ Top and Tim McGraw.
Yeah. So we're gonna go in reverse order.
Okay. This artist I've loved and I still love. I love her albums. I went to go see her. She actually opened for a bigger band. So it was Fiona Apple. She opened for Coldplay. I went there for Fiona Apple, did not go there for Coldplay. Wasn't a huge fan. I like some of their songs, but I wasn't there to see Coldplay. Fiona Apple was just sloppy. It was so disappointing. The sound was horrible. She was mumbling the words. It's like she didn't want to be there. It was just very, very disappointing because I went there to see her, and it was clear in the audience because she was the opening act that not many people were there to see her.
For her.
And then Coldplay came on. I wasn't expecting much from Coldplay because they were just too popular, pop music.
Yep.
But man, they put on a great show.
Right.
So it was really disappointing
Her
for me.
first two albums were so
Absolutely,
good.
absolutely.
Just so soulful
And I
and
feel
so edgy.
Maybe if I would have seen her at that time,
It would have been better.
it would have
she
been
was
better.
rising.
Yeah, but this was like she was just there. And
That first album, I mean, it was just first she was like 12, and she was singing about things
Right.
that 12-year-olds should not be
Right.
singing about.
right.
Oh,
the
that's
record.
whenever I when that album came out, was when I was going through puberty, and that awoken shit inside me.
She's a
Okay, I'm a little
lyricist.
there's that, but I'm just going,
Lyricist for sure. And a great
she was
songwriter.
I mean, it was I remember thinking, because somebody told her age, and I said, there's a couple songs that she shouldn't know what the hell that
Yeah,
means.
right. She impressed a whole lot of people that night. Just
Nothing.
it was just really, really disappointing.
Sloppy is the worst sin.
Yeah. And then this was actually, I would blame it more on the venue. This was in San Francisco. It was, even forget what the venue is called, but it was this huge warehouse that was renovated and turned into a concert venue. My Bloody Valentine. A lot of people don't know who they are, but they were early indie alternative shoegaze. So around the time like Jesus and Mary Chain or Cocteau Twins were coming out. So My Bloody Valentine, it was a nostalgic concert. So my sister got tickets and we were so excited to go. We sat in the back and it was just echoey all over the place. You couldn't, there was this reverb coming off so that it was out of sync. And so we ended up leaving early.
Yeah.
Because it was just so horrible. But we paid like $70 per ticket or something like that. That's because, that was cheap. Because $70 now for a concert is cheap.
It was upper deck, yeah.
But we didn't even care because it was just so horrible. But that, I think, was because of the venue.
Sound is the worst. And I didn't bring up a couple. We saw Aldine and we saw Brantley Gilbert as the middle act. And Brantley, the Aldine sound was fine because they had it worked out. But the first 2/3 of Brantley Gilbert was just so poorly mixed. You're just going, this is horrific. Yeah. And I like Brantley Gilbert. And I've seen Brantley Gilbert where he's been really good. And I enjoyed it. He's like kind of redneck country rock. Love his stuff. But it was poorly mixed. And I don't know why it was, but you just go, there's nothing that messes up a concert faster than that. Because you just go,
what the hell is going on?
What the hell?
Yeah.
Shoot your sound guy. I shouldn't say shoot your sound guy. I get criticized by it.
And it was hard to get into it.
But you just go, get a new sound guy.
Yeah, it was just hard to get into it. After that, it was just, was just leave.
Well, actually, where I grew up in Bloomington Normal, the basketball arena was an airplane hangar. It was like shaped the old screen. Yeah. So
the dome kind of.
Like metal, like airplane hangar. So they have concerts in there, and they'd have to hang stuff to like stop some of that, but still not good. Aaron?
So I've actually been afforded that I've never seen a bad show from the people I wanted to see. My worst one was a show I wasn't able to get into because...
That'd be a problem.
So me and Ian... we're going to go see Under Oath, Emery, and Gwen Stacy. Again, metalcore and stuff like that.
Gwen Stacy after the comic book character?
Yes. So he was like, do you want to go ahead and get tickets? I'm like, no, we'll just get tickets there. Because this was in the middle of December. It was pretty bad weather that night. So I was like, we'll just get tickets there. We got to the Village, which was the old Dome Theater here in Little Rock, which I don't know if you were around when. So it was an old Dome Theater that it was a movieplex, but it just had one curved thing, and they turned into a concert hall. So we went there, and the line was enormous, and I was like, "Holy shit!" So the concert started, and there was probably still 100 people in front of us. And we got up to about 20 people left in front of the door. We could hear Gwen Stacy playing. And they're like, we don't have any more room. So he was pretty pissed at me.
Yeah, that's bad planning on your part. I think, is he still pissed at you about that?
He still gives me shit every once in a while.
I don't blame him for that.
Because he had never seen Under Oath before, and I'd never seen Emery. And Emery's one of my all-time favorite bands.
Sure.
And I've seen Under Oath, a dozen times before then. So we were just going to go to that. And so he finally got to see Under Oath, and I eventually got to see Emery.
Yep.
But just for that one tour that they were on, because we could hear them like through the muffling sound, and it was just like, fuck, we're so close, but couldn't get in.
If only somebody had planned ahead.
I know. But like to the shows I've been to, like I've never had like a bad one. No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm being picky about mine. I've never been to one where I've not walked out of one.
Yeah, that was the
bad
only
sound.
one.
Bad sound is just It's an offense that cannot be corrected.
Oh yeah.
So, babe,
We saw Rascal Flatts twice in Maryland, and
Maryland Heights.
yeah, and we didn't really think they were that great.
Joe and Rob loved them, so they were part of our ticket package. But
Both times? Yeah?
We're just not Rascal Flatts people.
Yeah.
Because they're country crooners, kind of.
Okay.
They're just not.
Yeah. So Rascal Flatts. Anybody else?
I can't remember any other bad.
Well, that sucks for Rascal Flats because you said both times. So that's your two.
Joe and Rob loved them. And widely, the guy got, I think the bass player got arrested for DUI this weekend.
Yeah,
too.
they did. I saw that.
Yeah.
They were
Joe
very popular, and I just did not like that group.
Life is a highway.
But it was one of those things.
You know a Rascal Flatts song.
Because it's on the Cars.
It's on the Cars video.
It's on the
It's
Cars.
Cars movies, yep.
You know, and it was one of those things where I was like, well, we can sell these tickets, and we'd be like, Joe and Rob really likes them.
Joe and Rob really like them. Because Rob's uncle knows them because he's an alcohol distributor, and they like them. They're very popular.
So that makes the last part of what you just said even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last category is a band that we should like, that we don't.
I'm just going to jump in here. Fuck Weezer.
Okay, so Aaron's going fuck Weezer. Why don't you like Weezer?
God, I don't know. Rivers Cuomo, fuck that dude.
I have the biggest
Why don't you
crush
like
on
Weezer?
him.
Come on, dude.
Whenever we're driving somewhere and we
turns it off
always have
immediately.
lithium on because we love lithium. The first part of whatever the fuck that big song is,
Undone.
Bob Holiday or Billie
Oh,
Holiday.
yeah. Okay.
Next, I will not turn
Is it
anything off
because
faster than that.
Is it because it's too happy?
It's just
Too
bad.
happy.
It's just bad.
'Cause they're wearing pink shirts.
Pick a fucking name of your album. Stop calling it the green album or the blue album or the red album. Just fucking name an album.
Hey, the Beatles had the White Album.
Yes, but then they stopped.
311 had the blue album.
Yes, and then they stopped. Metallica had the black album, and then they stopped. Weezer, it's the green, it's the blue, it's the red, it's the white. It's like, goddamn, just pick. There's something about them.
I've seen Weezer a couple of
I
times.
fucking hate them.
I've seen them in concert a couple of times, and they're great. I will say that now, as I've gotten older, they're just noise.
Fucking Hash Pipe. What a god awful song that is.
It's actually
Well,
it's an okay
you're
song.
committed.
Yeah,
I'm not as committed to my.
he hates
I
them.
hate Weezer.
Wow, I hope they don't listen.
Yeah.
If they do, fuck y'all.
Well,
No, don't.
Rivers, we know that you're listening.
And you 10 out of 10, right?
No,
You're not
actually, no.
5 out of 10.
I did have a crush on him, I will say, but
Gross. It's just so bad. It's so bad.
Okay. So you feel the strongest.
for me, so this was actually kind of hard for me to even say, because maybe the bands that I don't really care for, I don't even think about. But I guess the one that I know that I cringe at whenever we hear it on Lithium is Third Eye Blind.
Oh yeah.
That lisp,
Yeah.
that meth mouth, that it just sounds like he's missing teeth.
Okay. If you had to see one in person, Third Eye Blind, OMC. How bizarre.
Is suicide an option?
How bizarre. How bizarre. How bizarre.
No, I'd probably see Third Eye Blind then. So I guess
So it's really OMC? That's what you're saying?
no.
No, it's not.
Neither.
You really do not like Third Eye Blind. Yeah. You're not as passionate as I am with Weezer, but when
I don't know if there's a band like that where I'm like, no, fuck them.
Well, so our Lithium is the highway. So we listen to the country channels. And of the bands that are really hot right now, like when Dan and Shay comes on, it's an instant turnoff for me. I just don't like them.
Yeah.
But they're on the pop country side. So the band I listed was Rascal Flatts, because I refer to them, and I've referred to them as Joe as this. They're very competent. They've produced huge hits. They're amazingly successful. They're the world's greatest. Life is a Highway isn't their song.
No, but that's what they're known for.
That's what they're known for. And they produce good music. I just refer to them as the world's greatest cover man.
Yeah.
See, and for
so-
you, I was going to put like Bro Country in a hole.
Actually, mine is Cadillac 3.
She doesn't like Cadillac
Whoa.
3. I know.
I wasn't expecting that.
Do you know why?
No.
The first time we saw them, their introduction was, fucking A! Fuck you people. Fuck this. Fuck that.
And then what did they do?
Then they
tore
sang.
it down. And
And sang
tore it down.
by every other verb was fuck. And fuck. And fuck. And fuck you. And are you fucking having time? And fuck you.
And kind of like this podcast.
And then during those 6 songs, because they played 6 songs that night.
With fucking saying hi. And fucking you.
In the middle between the 4th and 5th song, I bought their one album.
With all the fucks.
Oh my God.
With all the fucks, I feel attacked, Aaron.
That's how I felt.
She was
I got the Tim McGraw point too.
she was fired up that night.
I hated those guys.
I know you did.
So is that the only time you've seen them though?
No, we saw them also open for someone else. That was a country they opened up for country concert. They opened up. Then they opened up for Skinnerd and ZZ Top, and we saw them then, and so she's seen them 2 or 3 times. Was that the first time we saw them?
That was the first time we saw them. And
then
they
we
were
saw
half
them-
drunk, drinking.
Yeah, but they were awesome.
They were cussing.
shredded.
I think Steve even says like that was one of the best shows he's ever seen, and that was the first time he's seen it too. Was it you, him, and Doug?
Yeah,
The second time was the 3 of us. But the first time was just Steve and I.
Yeah, whenever you go see him, I don't go see him.
No, they are awesome.
Yeah.
And that night, they swore. They said the F word 500 times.
Yeah.
But they killed it. I
See,
mean,
and that was the group I would
they
have
shredded.
put like all 4 of us could go see a concert, but I mean that's not going to happen.
I probably
one-
should like them, but they irritated the crap out of me
And
that
that's
night.
like with Weezer.
And the funny part
Yeah.
is you like their songs.
I kind of like some of the songs,
So-
but they irritated.
White Lightning you like.
So it's a stage
I'm
presence. you don't
Southern.
like.
First introduction.
He said F. He said the F word seriously like 500 times.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when they played,
Yeah.
they were on
So
fire.
that's something to think about. So now that I think about it, actually, Gwen Stefani, I can't stand. I can't stand
Okay,
her.
now just her, no doubt.
No Doubt is good. Just with her on her own,
Her and Blake Shelton.
it's just the accolades that she's getting. I get it, but she annoys me.
Yeah.
Her pouty, that the way that she sings, it's just,
I'm just a girl.
yeah. And I
So
know that
innocent and sweet.
and I know that was tongue in cheek when she did that song, but that became the way that she sings every single song. So being irritated that she's great, but she irritates me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I never want to go see Weezer in concert. Don't even give me that.
Well, don't worry. Don't
and,
worry.
and maybe they're better now, but that first night they irritated.
Well, their music that night was tight, but their stage presence is better than it was that first night because they did drop the F-bomb.
and
all
they were
the time.
drinking like fish that night.
Well, they still do that, and they smoke like chimneys.
Yeah. Well, they were smoking something other than
Oh, no,
cigarettes
no.
that night too.
They were the times we saw them as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, this has been fun. Any other concert stories you want to tell, baby? This is your chance.
Is that all the questions?
It's all the questions. I can make up more questions.
Oh yeah. So I had one. What was your first concert?
So the first concert I remember, there's some dispute with my mother about the first concert, but the first concert I remember was 38 Special and Jefferson Starship.
Oh,
How old were you?
I was probably 13.
And this was when she was doing the stuff for the college. Like doing the.
It was no. So I was early. No, she was. We weren't, because her and I went to college together. So this was me in junior high. So this is 38 Special and Jefferson Starship at the top of their game. And for the record, Jefferson Starship was still the two lead singers, like for Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
Right.
But when they had transitioned into being a shitty pop band.
So they
from a drug-induced, cool hippie band into the...
They upgraded to a spaceship.
Right. And if you're not familiar with the Jefferson timeline, that's when they built this city on rock and roll, not White Rabbit, which is one of the great... I mean, that's that generation of Jefferson Airplane is amazing, sort of eclectic, sort of hippie stuff.
Someone to Love.
Yeah, that stuff's great. I built this city on rock and roll.
And there's another one. I guess it was the theme song to a movie, Mannequin, in the 80s.
I strangely remember that some of that. That had the one dude, Andrew McCarthy is the character.
Yeah. They're very, very, very big in the 80s.
They were.
Yeah.
Grace Slick is talented. She was more interesting when she was dropping acid on a regular basis.
I agree.
Just saying.
Rather than cocaine.
Yes, no, that is 100% right.
So if you're going to do drugs, do the ones that open up your mind,
Right.
not the ones that make you drool.
How about you? Your first concert?
So I believe... So in KC, there was this big outdoor pavilion amphitheater, and then there was this like big section. It was probably 50 yards by 50 yards, but it was just fountains. So Kansas City is the city of fountains. So this thing where just water would shoot up all over the place, and that's where all the kids would go and play. And just because in the early 90s, you could just go run and play and make friends, and you wouldn't get kidnapped kind of thing, and wouldn't have to worry about it. Your parents, and you'd be like, yeah, it'd be fine. So we'd go there quite often. But the first one I remember, so I was probably 9 or 10. I don't know. It was either 93 or 94.